Clay.
Hi.
And I coaxed him into doing this little video with me
Uh-huh.
about 10 things we've learned in 10 years of marriage. We've actually been married 11 years now, so yes.
Almost.
But
Almost.
okay, so we're by no means experts or have a perfect marriage, but I don't know, we're like 89% happy, 88.
Probably more like 91.
Okay. So, without further ado, tip number 1 is now is the time to work on your marriage. So, I remember we were kind of navigating through a marriage funk and talking about how it's hard to work on our marriage when we have 3 kids and life just seems so crazy right now. But Clay, do you remember what you said?
It's something like you're only 33 once. You know, you're only this age one time, so
Like
live now.
yeah, like we're only young and married
Yeah.
right now, even though we have kids and it feels hectic. We don't want to wait till we're 60 and our kids are self-sufficient. Yeah. Hopefully they'll be self-sufficient before
They
then.
better.
But
I'm not gonna make it that long.
but we just kind of had the realization that now's the time to work on our marriage, not to think, oh, when our kids are older or when this happens or when that happens, that's when we'll really focus on each other. Anything else about that? Okay. Number 2 is learn how to fight.
Oh yeah.
Do you want to share that one?
We kind of suck at that, and I well, okay, we don't suck at that. But what I mean is that we're both peacemakers. And so we've got family members and friends that are a little more explosive when they fight, and
we find it kind of fascinating.
Get it out, and we don't do a very good job. We bottle well, which can cause a problem down the road if you don't know how to communicate. So for us, it's just about having a very open communication line, because if she does something that offends me, or I get upset about it, I tend to just withdraw, and so does she. So just finding the right balance on how to work through those issues instead of letting them fester, whether you're explosively fighting or not, just figuring that out with your spouse.
Yeah, well said. We congratulate each other when we get in little tiffs.
So. I know, it's pretty good.
So, okay, number 3 is facilitate each other's dreams and passions. And Clay's really good at that. I feel like I'm someone who always has to be pursuing something, and if I'm just kind of sitting and not pursuing something I'm passionate about outside of motherhood, then I get kind of sad.
Well, I think it's also like I see so much potential in what she can do. She does a lot of different things, which is great, and part of her personality. But I feel like if I don't facilitate that I see a change in you. Therefore, there's a change in our kids and in our family, and so it's important, I think, from my perspective, because I get to get out of the house. I get to, on a regular basis, obviously go to work and different things like that. I think it's important for our marriage and just the happiness of our family that she does get to go out and pursue those things that make her happy outside of being a mother and a wife.
Yeah, he's good about that. Okay, number 4, is that right?
That's right.
Okay, find things you love doing together. So, I don't know, I just think that's important because so easily you can kind of live your separate lives, and I think it is important to have your own interests as well. In fact, I think it's attractive when I see him pursuing something he's passionate about. But it's also important to find things that you love doing together.
So, like, for example, getting outdoors, exercising, hiking, eating, cooking, those are things that we've come together on that give us joy when we have date night. We've got a lot of different things that we can do. When we look down the road in our future, when our kids start to grow and we're able to actually talk to each other during the waking hours, we feel like we've got a lot of solid ground.
Yeah, we have a lot of activities that we want to do together forever. So that's fun.
Leading into the next one, number 5, which is just because it's not important to you doesn't mean it's not important to her. That was a biggie for me, I think, learning, and I'll give you an example.
Gilmore Girls. Just kidding.
Gilmore Girls is not something you like, it's a lifestyle, apparently. But the example is like, when I take the kids out somewhere, I don't care if I'm going to McDonald's or if I'm taking them on an errand or to the park. I don't care what they look like. It's not a priority for me if their hair is combed, for example, but for her, that's a big deal. And for a lot of years, I'm like, why does it matter? Nobody cares.
If we lived in Hawaii, it wouldn't matter. So, solution.
That's true. Okay. Does anybody have a job in Hawaii for us? So,
Seriously.
but for Kim, it was a big deal. And so as I came to realize, you know what, it is a big deal that the kids' hair is combed, or that they, you know, they look presentable. Well, presentable for me could be different. Or same thing with eating. You know, feeding our kids vegetables and eating good things. That's a really important thing for her. And so just because it wasn't a big deal to me, it gives me joy in doing those things because I know it's a big deal for her and it means a lot to her, and that helps us.
Yeah. I'm learning as we go through these that he's the nice one and I'm the selfish one. Because I'm trying to think of examples of things that I try and get behind that you love, and I'm not as good
we were
at
watching
that.
again. We were watching the Jazz game last night.
We is
Rock.
relative.
That's true. There were several pauses.
Let's move on to the next one. So, it's not always rainbows and fairy wings. I think it just I don't know. Ellie likes fairies. I don't know. I just feel like it's important to be realistic. Sometimes we see amazing, or what look like amazing marriages on social media and on movies, and sometimes even I get caught up in like, oh my gosh, that's what I want my marriage to be, but it's not realistic. So I'm always having to recenter myself and remember my life is not supposed to be a movie.
Yeah.
And the important thing is to both be committed to working through those bouts of when you're down and when it's not.
You know, it is a balance though, because I feel like, you know, there was so much marriage advice that we got when we were engaged, about to be married, that I just despised, and part of that was the honeymoon phase will be over soon, or the 7-year itch, or all that stuff, and I'm like, that's all nonsense to me, because yes, it's not all rainbows and fairy wings.
You can say whatever you want, sprinkles and unicorns.
But it is what you make it, though, right? I mean, if I want to come home and be happy and help Kim be happy and our kids be happy, I know now after 10 or 11 years of marriage, some of those things, I haven't figured it all out, obviously, but I know what kind of sacrifice it might take on my part to walk in the door and, you know, treat them in a way that I know they'll feel loved and you know, I don't know, after a while you start to know what makes the other person tick and the kids tick, and I think that you can make it to a degree what you want it to be, even though you do have hard times.
A couple rainbows, a couple fairy wings here and there, just not all the time.
I'm gonna change that.
I know, sorry, that was bad. I'm a writer. I should know better. Okay, the next one is to get vulnerable, and this kind of goes back to like being open with each other and communicating. I feel like even with spouses, sometimes you want to hide things. You still want to hide some of your imperfections and some of the things you struggle with. Sometimes you want to brush those under the rug, and I feel like it's important to really open up to each other, because who else are you going to open up to if you can't open up to your spouse? They should be the first person you come to with those deep struggles and whatever it is that's inside you.
Yeah, I think that, you know, Kim, there's always a place for her best friends for girls, because I just feel like there's certain things that you need that I can't provide you, and I'm okay with that. But
girls need girls for sure.
But to your point, I think when you and I communicate on a level that's extremely deep, or, you know, we get into those conversations that are of substance, I think that brings you together, versus if you get in the habit of not having those conversations with your spouse, even though it might be a weird subject or you don't know if they care. But if I'm engaged in what she's talking to me about, even if it's not a number one priority for me, then that shows her that I love her and that she can communicate with me. So that's been really important, because we know that we can go to each other first, as opposed to just bottling it up or talking to our friends all the time and not talking to each other, which is all good too, but you need to have both.
Number 9 is be weird together. No, he takes care of that one. He does spontaneous dances, Native American style, Latino style, anything you request, pretty much. Romanian. You'll have to show me that one later. But yeah, so just be weird together and just be silly and be yourselves and be a nerd.
Like, I chased her up the stairs the other night and she like crumples into a little ball. I'm like,
it's just a thing I have. If people chase me up the stairs, it scares the crap out of me.
Yeah. Or, the best is awkward dancing in front of your kids. Now that Ellie's a little bit older, she's like 7.
They get uncomfortable.
And she's just like rolling her eyes. I'm like, dude, this is the first of many awkward dances.
Yeah, I think it's important that we
wait till your friends come over. That's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be good. So we're pretty excited about that. Okay, number 9, almost done. Get over perfectionism. I just like the definition, the original definition of perfection, because I think in our culture we think of perfect to be something totally different from what the actual meaning is. And in biblical times, it was whole. Perfect meant whole and complete. So that has changed the way that I see things, so many things, not only marriage, but just myself and motherhood, to work on being whole and complete and balanced, not perfect in everything. So I don't know how that relates to marriage. I just feel like
Well, I think
it's important not to nitpick all the time, even though I do that sometimes, and
I think it's
but
okay to expect that you're going to suck sometimes too at being a husband or wife or father or mother. You're not going to do a great job all the time, and that's okay. And if you can admit that to yourself and to your spouse and your kids and be humble, I guess, in that way.
yeah,
I
I
mean,
think it's important to show your kids that you have weaknesses
yeah.
and to say sorry to them. Say, hey, I do this like on a daily basis. I was really grumpy and that's why I yelled at you, or that's why I was short with you, or whatever. I'm really sorry. I need to go take a time out, or I need to get some sleep.
It's so easy to treat the person you see the most and you love the most like crap sometimes. And I know not that you mean to do that, but it's so much easier. It's so funny how polite we are on the street or in the grocery store, and then inside our homes, where we feel comfortable, and I think that's okay to get it out. I mean, you're not feeling well or you're upset about something, you need to talk about it. But at times, I think it's important that you can, you can withdraw yourself a little bit. Say, look, I need a minute.
Yeah. So our last one, I hesitate to say this because it doesn't always work out this way, and it sounds so cliche, but we go to bed at the same time, and we just feel like that's been just a simple little anchor that has helped us stay on the same page and stay connected. Sometimes I admit I'll be really into a book and I'll keep reading after he goes to bed, but he has learned to read with me too. He said when he was growing up he read maybe a Goosebumps book or two, but now he's into more books.
You have to know what you're doing though, because last night she's finishing a book. Oh, I'm almost finished, as I'm collapsing on the bed, and by almost finished she meant 15 or 20 minutes. So
well, there was an epilogue I didn't anticipate, but anyway. So that's it from us.
thanks for listening.
Bye.
Your jacket was on, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, shoot. Continuity.